All right, welcome to the next level. Got my man Rami Hamady with me today. How we doing, Rami?
Doing great, Mike. Thanks for having me on today.
Absolutely, dude. Thanks for coming down.
Appreciate it.
What we're going to talk about today is some sales stuff, and really, what you're doing. Your telesales, predominantly. You sold in home, for a couple of years at a high level, and the reason I tell you that is, one of the principles we established when we started this company was, and this was straight up from Sean. We're not going to have anyone train who's not doing what they're training on. Like, I mean, I always hear stories of, I was at this company and the sales trainer was a guy who was 70 years old and hadn't sold in 40 years. But he gets up and talks, well, in my day, well, no one gives a shit about your day.
Nope.
We want someone that's doing it right now, right? Like, I ain't been in the field in probably 4 or 5 years. I'm not going to sit here and tell you what to do. I've never done a telesales app. I've never done virtual. I've only been in the home. I'm from the days of paper apps and, so I'm not going to tell you how to do it. But you, Rami, you're Hall of Fame already this year, right? 3 weeks into August, you're 450 and change or whatnot. Last year, over 600,000 sold. Last year was all in home?
Yes, last year was all in home.
And then you transition. At what point this year did you transition into telesales?
It was probably about right in the beginning of the year.
Yeah. Okay. So most of this production, you'd say, is all
telesales? All telesales, correct.
Got it. Okay.
Probably like 1 week, I would say, was in the field. Outside of that, all tele. Switched the lead flow a bit. Had to wait 2 weeks for that to kick in.
Yeah.
That's it.
Gotcha. So 99.9 of this 458,
yep,
all telesales.
All tele.
So what we're talking about today is, setting the tone in the home and then building the need, right? Because it is we work high intent leads, right? People that are interested in life insurance. But one of the things about the appointment is you got to bring them back to that emotion, that feeling they had when they filled out that form, whenever it was, whether it was 6 months ago, a year ago, last week. There was, like, we as a country make emotional decisions.
Yes.
We don't make logical decisions as a whole. If we made logical decisions, there wouldn't be things like credit card debt and things like that, right? It's emotion, pulse buy. Oh, shit, I need that, $5,000 purse. I need that. Okay, right? But same thing with our clients. Something happens to them emotionally. I mean, how many times have you heard this? I fill out the form because, I went to the doctor and I have high blood pressure now. Or a family member passed away and he was about my age, right? Or my neighbor died and we're about the same age. It scared the shit out of me. I filled this out. I mean, that sound all the time, right? You don't just hear like, I don't know, man. I was just thinking about life insurance one day and filled it out. Like, there's something that happens. I mean, guys are funny. He's like, I went to the doctor and they said, like, you have high blood pressure, so I need to get life insurance. Like, okay, like, blood pressure is not a death sentence anymore. It was maybe like 100 years ago. I mean, you're the medicine guy, but
not anymore.
Not anymore. But back in the day, you had high blood pressure. You're done, right? Like, that's it.
That's it.
We're planning the funeral. So. There's usually an emotion tied to what made them, and then in the home, it's uncovering that.
Yeah.
You don't just walk in and go, "Hey, where's your need?" And they're like, "It's because this." You have to uncover that, and then also setting the table, setting the tone, whatever word you want to use. It's important because you're setting the expectation for that appointment.
Exactly.
When my business from the sales perspective changes, when I started opening with, "Hey, here's what we're going to do today. I'm going to ask you some questions. I'm going to help you find a product that fits your needs and your budget. If that all makes sense, we're going to make an application, see if you get approved, and then you're going to be cut." Like, I would lay that out, and I'm like, oh, wow, I'm closing more, help more because I'm setting the tone. So I want you, Rami, to share how you're doing that, setting the tone, and then from there we'll hop into finding that need.
Of course. So in general, to set the tone, Mike, what I do is I call it the role and purpose. So it's going to be the only constant that's with every single appointment. Like you said, every family is going to be different, right? You're not going to interfere or come across the same objections, obstacles, or even the problems you need to solve.
Right.
But the one thing is, like you said, you have to explain what you're doing today and what we're going to accomplish. So what I do is I call it the role and purpose. Now, before I go into that, I make sure that when I'm on the phone with the client, I'm going to tell you, Mike, grab a pen and paper. You're going to grab it. I'm going to have you write down my first name, my last name, and my NPN. That's going to connect me to the Department of Insurance Registry. This way you know you're dealing with a licensed and active professional. Now I'm going to send you over a copy of my front and back of my driver's license, whichever state I'm working, state or division of insurance license, and then I'm going to send you over our credibility sheet. It's the financial inventory with all the carrier sheets on it, all the companies. I'll send that to you. I'll make you open it. I'll say, can you please verify this for me? As by law, I have to send this to you, just again, to make sure you know who you're dealing with. I'm an active licensed underwriter. At that point in time, I'll say, okay, guys, so tell me a bit of why you filled the form out. I want to remind them, I want to bring up that emotion, bring up that need of saying, okay, when you made this request, like you said, you have a recent death, did something happen that's making you want to fill this out? Because not every family who gets these requests fill them back in. Right. Some people, they fill it out, some don't. So at that point in time, they'll tell me, they'll say, like, I'll say, Mike, what was your biggest concern when you filled the form out?
Yeah, I just want to find out how much this would be.
Perfect. And I'm like, what a lot of families do when they fill this form out, they do it for a couple of reasons. Now, I understand you want to get more information, but in order for me to give you the best policy or the accurate information that you're looking for, I need to ask you again, is it more geared for to make sure that in the event you became sick with a heart attack, stroke, or stage 2 cancer, to replace your income? Is it more geared for disability, death, or a combination of the three? What would be your biggest concern?
Yeah, more for death. Yeah, more if I pass away.
Perfect. That's like most homeowners I deal with. So I'm going to tell you my role, my purpose, what I'm here to help you accomplish today. I'm what they refer to as a state broker or a state underwriter. Now, all that means is I'm the eyes and ears to the insurance carrier. I work with 15 top-rated companies. I'm not biased or partial to any company, Mike. What matters to me is finding you a program that's going to meet your needs and budget to protect your mortgage and your family. In order for me to do this, I'll talk to you a little bit about the mortgage itself, see how it's structured, how it's set up. I'll then talk about your finances to see exactly first and foremost if you need this coverage. Secondary, I want to make sure you need exactly what you need. As every family I talk to, they want 100% of the loan covered. You may not need that. Every year, Mike, you're making your payment, it's going to get less. My goal is to make sure that when that financial hardship comes, you're avoiding probate and avoiding foreclosure. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
I'm just going to basically tell you how much you need. Lastly, I'll talk about your health. Not to be invasive, but any application we submit today, I need to make sure you're approved and that you're not declined. So I'll strictly talk to you about medications and your age and gender. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Perfect. Your job today, Mike, is just to help me help you. Now, I'm a very blunt person. I've been told I'm very direct. Do I have permission to be as blunt as I can be during this whole conversation?
Yes.
Perfect. Your job, again, help me help you. You got a budget. I got a budget. Your neighbor has a budget. Let's make sure whatever application we put in place today meets your needs and budget for your family. Does that make sense?
Yep.
All right. Now, it's not like a grocery store. You can't buy it like a loaf of bread, Mike, and I really mean that. You got to qualify for these things. I have a lot of families who want it, but they can't qualify. My job today is to send the initial request to the insurance carriers. Assuming we find a program or a policy that does meet your guys' needs and your budget, we are going to send that to the insurance carrier. They're going to senior underwrite. They're going to make sure the application is in good standing. The second is deemed in good order. Your policy will be drafted and your coverage is effective. Are you ready to begin?
Yes.
That's what I'll do, Mike, in every appointment, right off rip.
That's
Just
right off the bat.
Right off the bat.
And
right
are
away.
you're doing one call closes, you're setting appointments? Appointments, okay. So you have your appointments set. As soon as you open, you're doing this, you're sending over your credentials and going through that same spiel in
every single time.
Yeah.
If you were
and do you know there's a lot of small things in there. And this is why if you're brand new, go run an appointment.
100%.
Like, I'm not saying don't listen, but run the appointment, then listen to what you said, because you remove so many objections in that opening.
Yes.
Right? You talk about the health. We're going to ask you some health questions. You talk about the budget right off the bat. So they know it's going to cost. Like, it's never going to, I got to pay today? Well, yeah, dude, you're buying a life insurance policy. We pay when you die? Like, come on. But you're laying all that out. You're setting the expectations, like you said, setting the table. And that way there's no confusion. So when you go, hey, what's your social? Hey, you ever had this medication? Has this ever happened to you? Like, it's not a shock because you laid it out. Then when you go, we're going to make an application now. Oh, we are? Like, you don't get that shock because you've already said that. You already said we're going to apply. We're going to see if you get approved. Not everyone gets approved. Right.
Exactly.
So I would imagine that as you get into this, yes, not everyone's going to buy, but you're not getting pushed back on those things.
No, never.
And if you do, it's going to be right off the bat like, hey, dude, I don't want to do all that.
Exactly.
Right like away. At what point, so the one, because, we don't help every family we meet. At what point is that, when you do walk away, when does that normally happen? Is it after that kind of initial table setting or? So
typically when I walk away, it will be, I'll always give the role and purpose and I'll try to explain what the policy does and what does it entail to do, right? Mm-hmm. A quick little summary. Now, if they keep pushing, I'll tell families, I can't care about your family more than you do, Mike. Right. So at the end of the day, I can only do my job. If you're not going to give me this information, your finances, your social, the medications, I can't help you. Any insurance company you talk to in the whole world needs these things from you to properly underwrite you. So, Mike, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll cut it off right in the beginning. So I want to make sure, like you said, I'm not wasting my time.
Correct.
Now, sometimes I'll get through that. They'll say yes, and then during the presentation, I can kind of tell that they're not listening to me. They're giving me half-ass answers. Yep. At that point in time, I kind of say, hey, guys, it seems like you're not paying attention right now, and I want to let you know I'm really busy today. I have a lot of requests, and I was told love the ones you're with. So I'm not going to rush you off the phone. I'm going to ask you for respect to listen to me. If you're not going to give me the opportunity to listen to me, I'm not going to give you the opportunity to give you what your family needs. So guys, can we make this understanding that right now you're going to hear me out and not interrupt me during the whole conversation? They agree to that, I'll continue. And if not, I say it just like that, I'll cut it off. I'll hang up and go on to my next.
Right.
Because I know I want to help the people who want my help.
Dude,
I'm not a quoter.
The red flags are there. Like, you should never. I was never surprised when I got a chargeback.
Exactly.
I'm like, oh, I knew that one was going to happen. And then it was like, all right, so how can I get to the point where I just don't take that application? You know, that's a whole different mindset. But those red flags are there. It's just, are you going to ignore them or are you going to address them on the spot? The only reason you don't address them on the spot is you're afraid that you're going to lose that one client. But you want to lose that client.
You do.
Because that's going to end up being a chargeback.
Exactly.
And you can't eliminate all of them. You know, I mean, so if you're good, 30% of your stuff's going to fall off the books anyways. It's just in simplified issue. Now, obviously, with IULs, it's a little higher. Yep. So if you're good at IULs, I mean, you're 10, 15%, still going to fall off. But you just, if it's above that, you're doing something wrong. True. You know? So, dude, great table setting. Obviously, I mean, your numbers speak for themselves, but or rolling purpose, as you called it. But I just, you know, I hope y'all should play that back and listen to all of the objections that get removed. Because this is the wrong question to ask as a new agent. Rami, how do I overcome objections? What are the best rebuttals? There's none. No. You don't overcome them. There's no rebuttals. Yeah, but I heard on this guy say, I don't care. Remove it first.
Exactly.
Here's what we're going to do. Here's how the process works. We're going to make an application. I'm going to ask you these questions. They're going to need to know who you are. You do all that in advance. So then when it comes time to ask those questions, there's no pushback. And if you get the pushback, you want it early on because then you can cut them loose and go on to your next appointment.
Exactly.
You're booking appointments, what, every hour, every 45 minutes?
Every 30.
Every 30?
Every 30 minutes.
Yeah. So if you get one where, you know, this is a no-go, dude, you got one in like 10 minutes anyways.
Right away. And I double book at times too.
Yeah.
So I'll have, you know, 2 10:30s, 2 11:30s, and 2 11s just to make sure that, and I rank them as well. So I'll know like, hey, may I put them down as a 2? When I booked the appointment, they weren't maybe too serious or listening to me. Maybe I couldn't tie it down. They didn't write down my first and last name. They didn't tell me, you know, what exactly the time of the meeting was.
Right.
So I'll make sure that I know, okay, these people need my attention more than others when they're giving pushback.
Absolutely. So great on the rolling purpose. What about finding that need? So is that your next step?
Yeah,
yep.
Correct.
Okay,
so
how do you do that?
So I use my financial inventory. So I like to use an inventory like a Swiss Army knife, and I really mean that. Like you said, I have no script for my presentation. Every agent I bring on board, they say, Rami, send me your in-home script. I laugh.
I don't have one.
I don't have one. It's like, I don't. It's
hey, watch this TNL. How about that?
Exactly. Truly. So what I do is I use the inventory as my weapon. So all the questions are there. All you have to do is ask them the right way. A lot of agents, they get confused and they think that, okay, let me ask someone one question. If you die, what's that look like? Or who's your beneficiary? But they forget to kind of dig in and get those answers by asking proper questions.
Right.
So I deal with mortgage. I'll go into the rolling purpose. They agree. So now I'm into it. I'll say, how much is your mortgage balance? I'll go through the inventory. After I collect the primary information, monthly payments, interest rate, equity, house value, things like that, I then will stop and I'll say, guys, if God forbid you passed away yesterday, Bob, Mary, what does it look like for you today? And I'll stop. I'll let them explain it. I'll let them kind of tell me what's going to look like. Most of the time we get the answer of either, I don't know what that's going to look like, or that's why we're on the phone with you today.
Yeah.
Now, when I get those answers, I like that because I'm like, yes, that is why you're on the phone with me, but I need a little bit more information. So I like to ask the question, when you guys purchased the property or refinanced, did the bank ever explain to you what probate looks like? Ever explain to you how that can occur in your situation? And Mike, 9 out of 10 times they don't.
Yeah, so you probably never get a yes.
Never. They don't understand about assets. They don't know how a loan cannot be transferred. If you default on the payment, you're basically just paying back a bank equity so they can take it from you down the line. And families forget there's income involved as well. So I educate the client to make sure they understand that, hey, we're not only talking about, paying something off. Do you understand what your life will look like when your husband passes? So I go through that and I talk about their income. So I say, I assume, Mike, you and your wife both make income today. They always say yes, of course. They might say no, but let's say for the sake of this example, they say yes. I'm like, all right, let's say, Mike, you make $5,000 and Mary makes $5,000. That's $10,000 together. If anything happens to either one of you, your $10,000 is cut in half. You're losing 50% of your income. Now your bills, your mortgage, your family is built on both of you, not to mention your interest rate and the monthly payment. So not only avoiding, paying off a mortgage or probate, how you're going to replace the income in the house once your husband passes. Have you ever thought about what that looks like? What do you have that would act as life insurance to help avoid these things? And when you ask those kind of questions, they start realizing, wait, we really don't have anything in place. We have savings. Well, isn't savings, Bob and Mary, meant to pay for like your retirement and your future? Because you guys are in your 40s and 50s, maybe early 60s, you have 70s and 80s to pay for. If you guys, passed away and have to liquidate my retirement or my savings to cover an outstanding balance through a mortgage, how does that make any sense? What are you going to live on for the rest of your life? When you explain that to a client, now they're like, you're right, my retirement's for my retirement. So what do you guys have that's going to pay you money when you become sick? God forbid you guys became sick with a heart attack, stroke, or cancer. What do you have today that you can pay $200 and then you'll get $200,000 tax-free given to you? They always say no. I say, what bank do you know that you can pass away tomorrow and they'll take $200 a month from you and they'll pay you $200K tax-free to pay off the mortgage? They don't. They're going to disqualify you. No bank does that. That's where insurance that bills that pays the bills. So I ask the questions at the beginning to kind of build that need with the client.
Yeah. You paint that picture for them.
Paint it every single time.
And the thing that you have to keep in mind is this is 9 times out of 10 the first time they're having this conversation, right?
Very true.
Because I'll give you an example. When I got my driver's license, many moons ago, as they say, I drove to AAA and got car insurance. I didn't fill out a lead. I didn't go online. I'm like, I need car insurance. So, yes, I drove with no insurance to the insurance place to get insurance, right? Those are not our clients.
No.
We get on mail, I don't even know what the rate is now. Back in the day, 1 to 1.5 was a good return rate, right? Yeah. So 98% of the people that are getting these forms are not filling them out. They either have no interest or they're getting on themselves by themselves. You can go buy life insurance without going through an agent filling out a lead. The people that fill these out are that small percentage that, for whatever reason, can't, won't, don't know how to do it on their own.
Exactly.
So it's not like they've had this conversation, and if you go, hey, man, why do you need this? Well, the reason I need this, man, is I got no money in the bank, and if I were to die, my family would be screwed. They're not going to tell you that. Doesn't mean that's not their situation, but they're not going to offer that up. You have to pull that out. You have to show them, and by asking those questions, it's exactly what you did. Hey, so what do you have? Oh, that's your savings. You don't want to use that for this. So if you were to drop dead tomorrow, what happens? Walk me through that. That's it. Like, you don't know how to do it. Just ask that question. And then shut up. Exactly. And see what they say. Well, it'd be really bad. Yeah, what do you mean really bad? Like, what's the situation? Maybe he makes more than she does. Okay, so you drop dead. She can't. First of all, you can't take the loan over. Even if you couldn't even afford this place, right? No, okay. Well, where did you live before this? I used to love those. Well, I used to live with my dad, not really a great area, or I moved back in with my sister probably. Well, where's that? Oh, that's a really bad area in town. So you want to go back there with your 2 kids? No, I would never want to do that. Okay, well, that's why you need this.
Exactly.
But you got to ask those questions. You got to paint that picture for them. Don't just assume, it's a life insurance appointment. I'm going to show them some quotes, and it's not how it works, dude.
No, you're going to lose every sale that way.
Absolutely.
You're never going to help a family, yourself or the family, not at all. You have to, like you said, and be methodical, and you have to have a structure to it. Like if you record my in-home or my on the phone presentation, it sounds the same 90% of the time. The way I ask my questions, my tonality, when I ask them, how I ask them, it's just how you have to kind of adapt yourself, cookie cut. Because at the end of the day, the families, like you said, they need to be lead, guided, and directed into the proper decision. It's the first time they're probably having these uncomfortable conversations. That's why I like to tell new agents, ask the family to be blunt. Because that way, you can say the most stupidest stuff in the world, but when you're being blunt and direct, they understand.
Yeah.
Hey, Bob, you told me in the beginning, if you died, your wife is screwed. Why are you telling me now you have to think about it? When we talked on the phone for 2 hours, you both agreed to me that we need the insurance. I know you're probably thinking about cost. People don't make choices for 1 or 2 reasons. You either don't trust me or I didn't give you enough information. Which is it? Do you not trust me? Here's my credentials.
Right.
At that point in time, it's never that. It's, talk to me a little bit more how this works. Sometimes I've realized new agents, what they'll do is, they'll focus too much on going with IULs or permanent coverage when they just want to make sure when I die, my family's taken care of. I had that happen last night. So really, it's a funny situation. I had a client that I wrote, it was an IUL with America, and we ended up helping them, and they enjoyed it, but then they called me back. And they said, Rami, I'm going to tell you something. We want to go to AAA to get some extra opinions. And me, that took me back.
Yeah.
So I'm like, wait, we talked on the phone, AAA, like I do shop around for you. What's going on, guys?
Yeah.
Talk to me. And I had a feeling what it was. So I said, Jody, is it because that, you like the policy, you like all the bells and whistles to it, but that's not your biggest concern. I know that, you told me that it met your concern, it met your goals, and met your needs. But now when you're telling me, you want to look around, I think you're looking for, just low cost insurance that's going to make sure if he dies in 20 years, you're okay. Does that make sense? Second she agreed to it, we moved over to T100 right away. And she was more content with that. And she was happy.
Yeah.
And she said, hey, I understand there's less benefit. I understand it doesn't have XYZ cash value. I just want to know that if I die, they're taken care of. So don't overcomplicate it.
Right.
Just make it simple, right? Make it affordable and make it make sense.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. And in the inventory, what I would say as well, what a lot of agents, they do too much. They focus on income a lot.
Yeah.
And the thing is, people know what they can afford, right?
Correct.
The person who is on a strict income, buying 10 packs of cigarettes every single week and making it happen, buying a 30 pack, they're still going to make that happen regardless. Sure. Same thing with the life insurance, right? You just have to explain the need and build that value up. And just ask the simple question, guys. All right, how much do you make? Like you pointed out, let's say Bob made 7, Mary makes 3, the mortgage $3,500. Mary, Bob dies today, you can't pay the mortgage.
Right.
You can't even stay here. So we know we need to put something in place to make sure that you're okay, because you want your family to get a check when your husband dies, not write a check. And I know, like most families, you want peace of mind knowing tonight that when you're sleeping, you're not going to look at the coffee cup tomorrow and think, how am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to bury my husband? How am I going to handle the mortgage? How to go talk to the loan officer and tell him that, hey, I want to take time and grieve my husband and not have to worry about paying the bills.
Absolutely.
And those are things that when you ask the right way, they kind of listen and they say, Rami, that makes more sense. Thank you for taking the time to kind of go through this.
Dude, I love, I love the way you put it. Can I be blunt? Can I be direct? Like we used to just go, hey, do I have your permission to tell you the truth today?
I like
same
that.
thing. Like,
the same
so
thing,
whatever works for you,
like
but ask that question, get there okay. You're like, well, that sounds stupid. Yeah, but then it allows you to say things.
It does.
Because then it's almost like they know, like, oh my God, I can't push back. I told him he could tell me the truth, right? I've sat with people and husband and wife, and like wife doesn't work, it's just a husband. They're older, and like, dude, I always say when, not if. When you die, right, and she can't afford this place, I hate to break it to you, dude. What happens a lot of times is they then move someone else in. So someone else is here playing daddy, raising your kids. Just saying. It happens all the time.
A lot.
So are we really going to let that happen?
Or it'd be even a possibility?
We're over what, $80? I mean, come on. And I don't do it in a nasty way. I'm not trying to upset the guy, but it's the God honest truth. I see it all the time. My wife, somebody recently on Distant Family, like, dude died. A month later, new dude's there.
It happens.
And I was like, well, she's got to pay the bill somehow, right?
True. It
happens every day. Now, it's a lot worse when the thought of your young kids, right? Like, oh, shit, so I have kids, and I'm just going to be replaced. Well, yeah, what do you think is going to happen? It's either that or you're now homeless.
Exactly.
So how about we just put this in place for $80, $90 a month and not have to worry about it?
Exactly.
Like you said, peace of mind.
Peace of mind.
We're selling peace of mind.
Correct.
That way you can sleep at night knowing that whenever it happens, not if, when it does happen, everybody's taken care of.
Exactly.
And it's, it's your job. Don't assume that they've ever even thought about that. Most people think they're going to live forever, right?
True.
The odds that couple you're sitting with had that conversation of, hey, when I die, you're going to need this, or if you go for they don't have those conversations. No. They're worried about what's for dinner and who's picking up so-and-so from soccer and what show are we going to fall asleep watching tonight. I mean, come on. It's our job to go, hey, dude, all that's great, but when this happens, let me paint this picture of exactly how you die. Bank wants their money. You can't refi. They take the house. They give you 30 days to get out. They don't care that he passed.
Nope.
You're just a name on a sheet of paper.
Exactly.
Oh, mortgage is late. Oh, the guy on the loan's dead. All right, so can you refi this in your – oh, you can't.
Default.
You don't have any income. Oh, shit. Well, can I just stay and make the payments? No, it's our house. What about the equity in it? Oh, that's mine too.
Exactly.
And then they sell it.
Yep. They take
and they
all
keep the equity. And you're homeless. All because your agent couldn't paint the picture for you. So you got one shot, dude.
Exactly. And you got to give it your all in that home. You really do. You got to love the one you're with. And don't be afraid. I'll tell you all the time, don't be afraid to push your client. Like, challenge them. Sometimes you got to challenge them 15 times, and they finally break and say, you know what, this does make sense.
Yeah.
Like, I was being a little stingy. I just want to see if I can, get it a little bit cheaper. So your $7 going to affect you and your family, is going to make or break you? No. So your wife is not worth $7 to you?
Right.
It's like, come on, sir. It's like, with all due respect, you can get this one. This is going to make more sense. It's going to fit your health. You can match all the questions. Let's go ahead and not try to, nickel and dime your family.
Dude, leave it all out there. It's like if I said everything I could say to you, Rami, I said, listen, when you're gone, she's gonna replace you. You don't care about your family. Well, I've said everything, and if you still go, no, Mike, I'm good. I'm all set. Then I could walk away and go, I know I did my part.
Exactly.
I still would say I screwed something up somewhere, right? Like, you didn't trust me enough to allow me to protect your family, but I left it all out there. He's not going to do it. All right.
Exactly. Liability is released.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
I used to, to think about it. That always good. Well, they think about it. They don't make decisions. Okay, Rami, this is fresh on your mind now because you just bought this house. You just filled this out. I'm out here. Let me tell you what happens. If I walk out and you don't get a policy today, you're never going to get one. You know what it is. You know how much it costs. You know how it works. Then it's like buying gas. This one may be 4 cents cheaper. It's still gas, dude. Insurance, you get what you pay for. So if I walk out of here, you don't protect your family today, you're not going to buy life insurance. So just do me a favor. Tell me, say it out loud, that I am not going to buy life insurance. I'm not going to protect my mortgage. I'm all set. And you know what? 9 times out of 10, they go, wait, how much is that again?
Exactly. They do. All the time, Mike. All the time.
But to your point, you got to be willing to challenge.
You do.
I'm not afraid to lose the appointment.
Exactly. Never afraid to lose a sale at all.
No.
Because I know that if I'm doing my best no matter what, they're going to understand that, and they're going to see that, and they're going to appreciate that and say, hey, he's taking his time.
Yep.
He's doing it all. But if you don't, and like you said, you just kind of rush through it, it's not going to work out. It's going to fall apart.
Yep. And I think the key to all of this is your own belief level.
100%.
You have to believe the shit you're saying, right? Like, first of all, you got to believe in life insurance. An agent selling insurance that doesn't have life insurance is never going to work.
Never.
You may get a few policies, but you're never going to really figure this out because you don't believe in it enough to own it on yourself, number one. And no, I'm not trying to get you to buy a policy because we're going to trust me, dude, we don't make much off of one policy. But if you don't believe in it and you don't own it yourself, how am I going to sit down and try to get you to buy it?
Exactly.
I mean, you don't buy Ford and go work at Chevy, No. It just don't work. Like,
it doesn't happen that way.
You're a Ford guy and you want to sell cars, you better go to a Ford dealership or you better learn to love Chevy or wherever else you're going.
Exactly.
Well, I appreciate you coming in and doing this. I really do.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. And I know I put you on the spot when we did your True Talk. I'm going to do the same thing here. Your goal this year is what?
1 million.
1 million.
Yeah.
Personal.
1 million personal.
Yep. And you're at 4 and change now, so you're close.
I'll be around 5, I think, when this week comes out.
Okay.
Should be around 5.
So you're right there. Got to ramp it up a little bit, but I have no faith, or I have faith that you will you'll hit that. So appreciate you, dude. Guys, thanks for tuning in. You know where to find us every week right here on The Next Level. We'll see you next week.